By 1547, Henry VIII was a shadow of his former self, plagued by obesity, gout, and leg ulcers. Yet it wasn't just his body that tormented him. His mind was fixated on death and judgment. As legend has it, the night before his death, Henry lay in bed, unable to sleep. His courtiers, terrified of his wrath, dared not ask if he wanted a final confession, customary for a dying Christian, but risky when the king is unpredictable. In his torment, Henry is said to have murmured, "Monks, monks, monks," a possible sign of guilt over his destruction of England's monasteries. No priest was summoned. The once powerful king passed away the next morning, possibly without last rites, as none dare to rouse him. A man who had controlled the Church of England, now possibly denied its final sacrament. The true meaning of his last words? Still a mystery, shrouded in the enigma of his controversial legacy. And that's a glimpse into the final hours of Henry VIII. What do you think his last words meant? Let us know in the comments. Did you know Anne Boleyn's charm and sophistication were shaped abroad? Before she became Henry VIII's infamous queen, Anne spent her teenage years in the Netherlands and France. She served as a lady-in-waiting to Queen Claude of France, where she learned French, mastered courtly manners, and gained a deep appreciation for art, music, and fashion. This time abroad turned Anne into a cultured, educated woman, qualities that made her stand out at the English court. In fact, her wit and intellect were so captivating that Henry VIII became obsessed with her. Anne wasn't just beautiful, she was worldly, sharp, and confident, a queen in every sense of the word. Her years in Europe laid the foundation for the Anne Boleyn we know of today. Anne of Cleves, Henry VIII's fourth wife, was meant to be the perfect political match, but their marriage lasted just 6 months. Henry was disappointed with her appearance, claiming she looked nothing like her portrait, and their union was never consummated. However, Anne played her cards wisely. Rather than resisting the annulment, she accepted it gracefully, earning Henry's lifelong respect. He gave her generous settlements, including Hever Castle, and she became known as the king's beloved sister. Unlike Henry's other wives, Anne outlived him and enjoyed a comfortable life in England, proving that sometimes losing a crown is the best way to keep your head. Catherine Howard, the fifth wife of Henry VIII, was young, charming, and full of life, but her story is one of scandal and tragedy. Raised in the powerful Howard family, she caught the king's eye as a teenager, becoming queen in 1540. However, whispers of past relationships and rumors of infidelity spread through the court. Unlike Anne Boleyn, who was accused on false charges, Catherine's past indiscretions were real, and her secret meetings with Thomas Culpeper sealed her fate. When Henry discovered the betrayal, he was furious. In 1542, at just around 19 years old, Catherine was executed at the Tower of London, her final words said to be, "I die a queen, but I would rather die the wife of Culpeper." Catherine Parr wasn't just Henry VIII's last wife. She was his survivor in more ways than one. She didn't just outlive the most dangerous husband in England. She outsmarted him. When Henry turned against her, she played the ultimate survival card, flattery. It worked, and she lived to see him die. But Catherine wasn't just a queen, she was a pioneer. In 1545, she became the first woman in England to publish a book under her own name, Prayers or Meditations. After Henry's death, she finally married for love, Thomas Seymour, but love came at a cost. Seymour's dangerous ambition and his flirtation with Princess Elizabeth led to scandal, and Catherine, she escaped Henry's wrath but not her tragic fate, dying of childbirth fever at 36. Anne Boleyn didn't just win Henry VIII's heart, she made him fight for her. Unlike other women at court, she refused to be just another mistress. She held Henry at bay, turning his desire into obsession. The longer she made him wait, the more he convinced himself she was his destiny, and it worked. He broke from the Catholic Church, changed England forever, and made her queen. But once Anne was no longer unattainable, Henry's obsession faded. No son, no security, and the long game she played, it ended with her on the scaffold. So did Anne outplay Henry, or was she just another pawn in his game? Catherine Howard, the fifth wife of Henry VIII, was young, charming, and full of life, but her story is one of scandal and tragedy. Raised in the powerful Howard family, she caught the king's eye as a teenager, becoming queen in 1540. However, whispers of past relationships and rumors of infidelity spread through the court. Unlike Anne Boleyn, who was accused on false charges, Catherine's past indiscretions were real, and her secret meetings with Thomas Culpeper sealed her fate. When Henry discovered the betrayal, he was furious. In 1542, at just around 19 years old, Catherine was executed at the Tower of London, her final words said to be, "I die a queen, but I would rather die the wife of Culpeper." Did you know King Henry VIII wasn't just famous for his 6 wives? He made himself filthy rich by shutting down monasteries, taking church lands, and even cheating his own currency by melting down the coins to remove almost half of the silver content only to replace it by mixing in cheaper metals. All to fund his wars and lavish lifestyle. He got everything he wanted at the expense of the people, proving himself both a selfish genius and a ruthless tyrant. What's your take on his legacy? Anne Boleyn's rise was as meteoric as her fall was tragic. She was a woman ahead of her time, intelligent, ambitious, and fiercely independent. She captivated Henry's heart. He showered her with gifts and attention. He defied the Pope and the Catholic world to make her his queen. Their wedding was a hastily arranged affair. The whispers of scandal followed them. She was crowned queen in a lavish ceremony, but her triumph was short-lived. The pressure to produce a male heir weighed heavily on her. She suffered miscarriages, each one a blow to her hopes and a threat to her position. Henry, frustrated by the lack of a male heir, turned on Anne with a vengeance. Her enemies, sensing weakness, whispered poison in the king's ear. Accusations of adultery and treason were leveled against her. A show trial